Occupying Till He Comes at Southwest Prophecy Ministries. This is David Schnittger with today's Southwest Prophecy Ministries program. Just a reminder that these programs are supported by your gifts to this ministry. On last week's program, I began a series dealing with the present moment in American political history. It is my thesis that with the election of Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States, that God may be granting us a Nineveh moment. By that, I mean a temporary reprieve from the judgment of God that America so richly deserves. On last week's show, I listed the moral and biblical boundaries that America has crossed over the last 50-plus years. That has put us in danger of experiencing the judgment of God. On today's program, I want to chronicle some of the Jonahs that have been warning America of impending judgment and have been calling America back to its founding principles. This list is by no means comprehensive. Instead, it surveys those individuals and organizations that, in my opinion, have had the greatest influence in restoring America to its founding principles. The first individual is Robert Welch, Jr., a businessman and founder of the John Birch Society. Mr. Welch, who lived from 1899 to 1985, developed an organizational infrastructure for the John Birch Society in 1958, made up of chapters nationwide. JBS is a conservative advocacy group supporting anti-communism and limited constitutional government. Headquartered in Appleton, Wisconsin, under the leadership of its current president, Arthur Thompson, JBS owns American Opinion Publishing, which publishes the monthly magazine, The New American. In my view, the John Birch Society is the patriarch of modern-day resistance and restoration movements in America. The second individual I'd like to chronicle is Barry Goldwater. Barry Goldwater, who lived from 1909 to 1998, was an American politician and businessman who was a 5-term United States Senator from Arizona and the Republican Party's nominee for President of the United States in the 1964 election. Despite losing the election in a landslide, Goldwater is the politician most often credited for sparking the resurgence of the American conservative political movement in the 1960s. Goldwater rejected the legacy of the New Deal and fought the conservative coalition against the New Deal coalition. The third individual I'd like to mention is Phyllis Schlafly. Phyllis was an American constitutional lawyer and conservative activist. In 1972, she founded what is now known as the Eagle Forum. The Eagle Forum is a conservative interest group in the United States and is the parent organization that also includes the Eagle Forum Education and Legal Defense Fund and the Eagle Forum PAC. She founded the Eagle Forum in 1972 and remained its chairman and CEO until her death in September of this year. The Eagle Forum has been primarily focused on social issues such as pro-life and pro-family issues, and reports a national membership of 80,000 people. This organization successfully led the fight against the ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment in the 1970s. Phyllis Schlafly has been influential in the RNC platform over the last several decades and endorsed Donald Trump and published her last book shortly before her death entitled The Conservative Case for Trump. The fourth individual I'd like to mention and highlight is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, who lived from 1911 to 2004, was an American politician and actor who was the 40th President of the United States. Before his presidency, he was the governor of California from 1967 to 1975, after a career as a Hollywood actor and union leader. In 1964, Reagan's speech entitled A Time for Choosing, which was given in support of Barry Goldwater's presidential campaign, earned him national attention as a new conservative spokesman. He ran unsuccessfully for the Republican nomination for the U.S. presidency in 1968 and 1976. 4 years later, he easily won the Republican nomination and went on to defeat incumbent Jimmy Carter in 1980. Entering the presidency in 1981, Reagan implemented sweeping new political and economic initiatives. His tax rate reduction and government regulatory relief spurred economic growth. Over his 2 terms in office, his economic policies saw a reduction of inflation from 12.5% to 4.4%, and an average annual growth of real GDP of almost 4% per year. His robust foreign policy also resulted in the end of the Cold War and the subsequent fall of the Soviet Union. Many believe that the Reagan Revolution was the culmination of the revolution that began under Goldwater. The 5th person I would like to mention is Ron Paul. Ron Paul, who was born in 1935 and is presently alive, is an American author, physician, and former congressman. He served as the U.S. Representative for the Texas 22nd District in 1976 and 77, 1979 through 1985, and then as the 22nd Congressional District Representative from 1997 to 2013. That's 12 terms altogether. On 3 occasions, he sought the presidency of the United States, as the Libertarian Party nominee in 1988, and as a candidate in the Republican primaries of 2008 and 2012. Ron Paul is a critic of the federal government's fiscal policies, especially the existence of the Federal Reserve, as well as a military-industrial complex, interventionist foreign policy, and the war on drugs. Dr. Paul has also been a vocal critic of mass surveillance policies, such as the Patriot Act and the NSA surveillance program. Known as Dr. No in Congress, Ron Paul is the only member of Congress over the last 50 years to have a perfect voting record in terms of constitutional compliance. He is known as the intellectual godfather of the Tea Party movement, and many believe that the Ron Paul revolution of 2008 to 2012 set the stage for Trump's revolutionary victory in 2016. It is my view that these individuals and the organizations they founded that laid the essential foundations of Americanism and constitutional government that the Trump revolution was built on. On our next program, I will give my view as to the MVPs in this year's stunning electoral victory. If you would like a copy of this series of 5 messages on a Nineveh moment, we are publishing this in an ebook. You may obtain a copy of this ebook for an offering of $1.99. You may order this on our website. Simply go to www.swpm.us. That's www.swpm.us. When you get there, simply go to the tab on the homepage that says Bookstore. Go to the ebook section and order the product entitled A Nineveh Moment. Again, the offering price for this ebook is $1.99. We will continue this series next week. Until then, this is David Schnittger. Thanks for listening.